and a very warm welcome to the Gama Innovation Conference and Awards 2025, our very special 10th anniversary edition.
Well, thank you very much. I'm here to talk about the future of the food and drink industry, and it's a subject that matters a huge amount to me, having worked for 3 different organisations in the industry. I used to be a director of Boots the Chemist, which was then, when I was there, the largest seller of sandwiches in the world and remains an absolutely vital part of the consumer goods industry and has been through difficult times and multiple changes of ownership over the last decade. I worked for Diageo, the world's biggest drinks business, for 14 years. And interestingly, even in the last year, it's had its troubles. The first time it's had to unload its chief executive and change its management team. And it's still seeking to emerge from those very difficult crises. And it's interesting to note that even an absolutely gold standard business like Diageo is still subject to all sorts of problems, one of which is, interestingly, that its share price has gone from £40 2.5 years ago to 17 today. Now, that doesn't reflect the underlying fundamentals of the business, but it does reflect the complete lack of confidence that seems to exist even in gold standard manufacturers. And just talking to some of you outside, it's clear that lack of confidence in the future of our industry is a very, very significant factor in sales and in innovation right now. It's very difficult for you all to innovate if the circumstances are not propitious. It's very difficult to innovate if buyers don't want to look at new products, and indeed if retailers are generally in the mood to consolidate and hunker down. And it's very difficult to innovate at a time when inflation, although in relatively low single figures historically, is still around 4%, and food price inflation is 6 or 7, and clearly going to go higher after the worst harvest on record. But that isn't actually a reason to be overly gloomy. It's where there is risk, there is also opportunity. And I think there is a real spirit, certainly in this room and about the industry, to look at the positives and to see what can be done to bring new products to market to excite and delight shoppers and consumers. And what I saw this morning in the pitch workshop that we just did was 5 or 6 new products, all of which can take their place on supermarket shelves very soon indeed. And I think the excitement that generated and the excitement that I've seen in the products walking around this morning has really given me a boost. And all of the stories in this programme, with all of the awards and all of the people and businesses who have sought to win those awards, tells you that the future of all of our industry is in good hands. There will be shocks. Sustainability remains a massive issue. I said here 2 or 3 years ago that the sustainability issue was going to be the one which really defined the future of the industry. And although climate change seems to be not on the agenda for some politicians, they're idiots. Climate change is here. It's the reason in many ways that the harvests here in this country have been so poor over the last 2 or 3 years. And it's the reason that global supply chains, and many of you are susceptible to those, and many of you, of course, are working in countries far removed from the UK. It's the reason that some of those issues are so difficult. But the businesses which attempt to adapt to the conditions caused by climate change are going to be the ones who prosper. And whatever Mr. Trump says, and he says a lot, much of it completely incomprehensible and often inconsistent, whatever Mr. Trump says and whatever he does with tariffs, some of these issues like climate change, like sustainability, will be with us for decades to come. And if we don't address them now, our children and our children's children will have the really difficult task of doing so later. I want to say something about startups. I've been quite cavalier about my view about startups and small businesses from this lectern over the last 9 and 10 years. But I'm now, and as I think I said this time last year, I'm now chair of a startup. And let me tell you, I now realise just how bloody difficult it is. I was tempted into this by my founder, who's somebody who I'd worked with 8 or 9 years ago. She's a very compelling woman. She's very difficult to person to whom to say no. She promised me that my time would be very limited. I would be no more than 1 day a month, and certainly no need for investment, and certainly no need to do it other than provide my very wise and sage advice at occasions that suited me rather than her. The reality is a bit different. I'm now the biggest investor in the business. I'm not 1 day a month. I'm 3 days a week and counting. And she calls me literally at every hour of the day and night from different parts of the world and often says, "Oh, what time is it with you?" Well, it's actually 3 a.m. The extraordinary thing is that I don't mind. I've discovered how exciting it is, how completely fulfilling it is, how interesting it is, and hopefully how lucrative it's going to be. I say that because I suspect that, as my wife says to me frequently, "Yeah, hang on a minute, I'm in my 70s, she's in her 70s. She said, "I'm in my 70s. The only thing that's going to work if this business takes off is that it's going to pay for our care home." That's not a terribly enticing prospect, I realise. But actually, it's incredibly exciting, and it's also very fulfilling. So I do take my hat off to all of you, not necessarily just startups, but all of you in small businesses. Because to come back to the topic that I was asked to speak about, it's you who are the future, not just of food and drink, but of consumer goods. Every business that is successful in food and drink, and probably in many other sectors, starts around a kitchen table or with two people talking in a pub or over a cup of tea. Every one of the businesses that's familiar to us, it's fascinating, all of the big 5 tech businesses, Amazon, Meta, and so on, started in someone's garage. Those are the businesses yours are the businesses of the future. Those are the businesses who have the track record that show that it does work, and that is the future of consumer goods and of food and drink. And in that context, the future really is bright. Have a great afternoon watching the future in action. Thanks very much.